Okay, so welcome everyone. It's June the 1st, 2022, and we're working with Albert Einstein today. And we're going to go, last week we did the patterning of the mother and the patterning of the breath, or breathing. And this week we're going to start with dimensions 1 to 7. So let's start with the meditation first. Okay, and here we go.
Let's start by relaxing, by sinking into your chair, the floor, the bed, your car seat, wherever you are. Just feel yourself sinking in, bringing all the energy into your beloved sweetheart. Feeling that beautiful tri-flame of your core, the blue diamond, the pink diamond, the gold diamond of your divine feminine, your divine self, and the divine masculine, all in perfect balance, all in perfect harmony. And Albert has asked us this morning to work with a beautiful ray of black. And black in the material realm is the presence of all rays, all colors. So often black gets a bad rap. So let's begin. Open your crown, open your heart, open your root, and everything in between. And take a deep, deep breath. Inhale as deeply as you possibly can until your solar plexus is out past your chest. And breathe in black. Breathe in the black of the infinite universe, of the deepest void, of deep, rich black velvet. Feel yourself, wrap yourself in this wonderful black velvet shawl. Cocoon yourself. Breathe in obsidian and Apache tears. Black roses, black tulips. And feel the velvet. And as you fill yourself with the infinity of coal, feel that this separation between your internal space and the external space of all is simply dissolving, as if this very thin membrane that we call skin is simply gone. So it is not that you are leaving your physical body, but that standard sensation of separation between you and all energy has disappeared. And in that infinity of all energy, feel all your aspects, all pieces, emanations of your being, past, present, future, surround you, embrace you in love, no matter what has transpired. The kernel and the core of who you are has never changed, and that is love. So feel that support being sent to you gently, like gentle waves of sound, surrounding you, infusing you, and loving you.
Okay. I love that meditation. So this is the cover page of the slideshow. There's Albert Einstein, and we're studying the patterning of the universe from the breath to the dimensions. And he says all of the universe is patterned on the mother, the father, and the one. Okay, so now this is just a little bit of a review about the breath and how powerful it is, how there is a point of still point in every breath. And he reminds us that the in-breath is based on the patterning, the mother's patterning. And the mother's patterning, that blue energy, is trust, it's hope, it's the balance within hope of gender equality, it's peace, it's serenity, it's faith. And so on the in-breath, even if we don't realize it, we're literally breathing in the mother's patterning. And the still point in the center of our being, that golden energy of the father, is the quality of joy. So when we hold it, even if it's just a nanosecond, literally the blue and the yellow are conjoining, creating green, and green is love. So the out breath is love. And if we're really conscious, we can literally change the world just with our breath and intending what we'd like to see changed, whether it's for ourselves, for another, for a situation. So basically, I like to just put my hands on my heart and clearly identify the change and then do the breathing. So, and what we're doing is restoring, the wording that we can use is restore the original plan when we're either before or in the middle of the breath. And then on the release, what we're doing is we're restoring the true divine pattern, the divinity of what it truly is, what we're working on, the change. So I will post this again just for the reminder. I've been working with it all week and it's been really amazing. I highly recommend doing this type of breathing. Okay, so beginning with Albert's talk about dimensions. He says humans usually think of dimensions in terms of measurement. The term measurement refers to length, width, depth in the third dimension, with the added element of time is the fourth, and numeric assignment to the fifth. Now, some of these terms may feel a little confusing, but as he goes along, it'll become more clear. I wish you, my dear friends, to think of dimensions in a different way, not excluding measurement, but as a measurement of growth and qualities of being, states of existence. As humans, you have come to consider growth as the core definition of what is alive, what is living. Examples of this would be trees, plants, animals, crystals, and of course, human beings. It is natural for you to think of yourselves as the top rung of the food chain of life, which expresses in the third dimension. What you and I, when informed, failed to realize is that life forms, and dimensions are not a ladder, but rather a circle. That circle of 12 dimensions, each with 12 planes, levels, or classrooms, defines this universe in which all life forms participate or have the capacity to participate. Each dimension has qualities or growth patterns that define it. That is the concept of dimensional measurement. You are measuring the energy force of that quality. Okay, so not to worry if this seems a little confusing. He goes into detail. So back in when we were studying with St. Francis and the blessing and virtue of charity, he asked us at the end to do this little practice of sitting on an enormous piece of grass that is a circle, like a medicine wheel or a clock. And he called it the circle of one, the infinite circle of all. But what I realized when we were doing that was this is actually a way to see the dimensions just sort of on a flat surface. It's not that it's like the dimensions are not fixed points on a compass. So it's not like you go from 1 to 2 like around the clock, but they're all around us. They're circular, and it's we can access the dimensions as we spiritually evolve. So this is just a fun way to think of dimensions as circular. Okay, so back to Albert. Each of these dimensions has their own signature, as it were. And of course, within this, there is a gradation, much the same way as a diamond has a gradation. I wish to discuss these, but first I outline them. But before I do, it is necessary to put your preconceptions and judgments about ascendancy aside. Each dimension has a plethora of gifts or learning opportunities for evolution on the physical and spiritual scale. So there's no hierarchy in the dimensions. From 1 to 12, they're all equal and they have different gifts. What you also need to realize is that all of these dimensions operate and are observable in the third dimension. One of the qualities of the third dimension is the ability to observe all dimensions and realities in the physical life form. Now, it is time to pay attention to what is being represented to you, but that you have not adequately observed. I suggest this to you because that is part of the process of being born into the third dimension. It is the possibility and the responsibility to observe like a scientist. So I remember when this was said, and it made sense because the more we detach and watch and are able to observe without much emotion, the more we come to peace within the heart, and the ability to bless everything is much easier. So observing like a scientist is a great way of describing it. Okay, so now this is the first dimension, connected to the root chakra. And again, it's not, we're not
it's actually pronounced chakra.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the first, again, not to think of the dimensions like a ladder, because on my chart, I have the first dimension connected to the root chakra. So within the sitting still in the energy of the root chakra, we can access the first dimension. So Albert says, when you are in your first chakra, your root, the beginning of your existence, that ties you, roots you to Gaia, you're also connected to this first dimension, the dimension of the idea of who you are. Now, the channel has repeatedly said that all 12 dimensions are of equal value, but he said we didn't listen, and he wishes to emphasize this. You cannot have the 11th dimension without the 3rd, the 8th without the 2nd. You will be stymied, you will be paralyzed, you will be crippled. It will be like walking around with no kidneys or no heart or no lungs or no arms. It is an integrated whole, the same way that your body and your chakra system is an integrated whole, the same way that the blessings and virtues are an integrated whole. And that is why we brought them together. And he thanked me for doing the work of putting together the first book of the laws and the blessings and virtues together with the chakras. So when you're in that first chakra, first dimension, the idea, think about it, for I've had the extraordinary pleasure of talking to the mother about this. The idea of when I first incarnated, which was long before Albert, in that it is the in-breath, because you're coming to fix yourself upon the planet in form. And he says, what a magnificent thing. Okay, so then in another channeling, he talks a little bit more specifically about each dimension. So I've added it here just so we get this, just a little bit more detail. He says the first dimension is amorphous, having no defined or classified form. Believe it or not, ideas fall into this categorization. Ideas are simply a chemical electromagnetic event. Ideas have no form until such time as they are brought into action and form. You have an experience of this dimension when you are brainstorming or free associating, letting ideas move and circulate throughout the interdimensional field. So first dimension is all about where ideas come from. That is why so often there are similar concepts or scientific discoveries at the same time. It is from this place that the understanding of the 100th monkey emerges. That's when ideas emerge all over the planet and there's no connection between the people that have had the ideas. So literally it's coming from the field, from our guides, from the higher realms, and the ideas are being inspired into each of us. Both the first and second dimensions hold the qualities of humility and compassion. And humility is our service when we place ourselves with others to give and receive energy, and compassion is that place of non-judgment, which again is like observing like a scientist. Okay, so here's the second dimension connected to the pubic chakra and the law of intent. And Albert says in the second, and that is why we have all these chakras. Now you are coming to fully understand in the second pubic chakra, you're beginning to think and be creation upon Gaia, the repair of Gaia, the maintenance of Gaia. Because while you have come for yourself, you have truly come for this ascension and this transformation back to original intent. And that is why in the second dimension, form begins to appear. And that is the out breath. It is saying, sweet world, I am here. Okay, so then this is what he says about the second dimension. It has the aspect of flat spatial extent, meaning that there is no depth and therefore often not perceived by the human eyes. The quality of this dimension is the ability to mutate, grow, and evolve from one amorphous mass into another, and so on. These are often microorganisms, virus, or bacteria, such as the common cold. Cancer also falls into this dimension. evolving from a cell and often mutating into a tumor or growth. Usually, the life form of the first dimension is only observable under a microscope, but the presence of this life form is clearly evidenced both in nature and within your physical bodies. Okay, and then he goes on to say it teaches interdependence, but it's not malign activity. And the quality of this life form, similar to the first, is that there is no experience of emotion. It is learning to simply be in form and learn interdependence without the presence of emotion. What many of the scientists are defining in string theory as the other 11 dimensions are in fact aspects of the 12 planes of this dimension. They have not yet made the quantum leap to understanding that dimensions are not defined by physicality, but by qualities of growth. And this is a communication dimension. So when COVID was happening on the planet, it was literally helped spread with communication. So just that's kind of an example of the second dimension, but it's also the communication of what's in alignment. And that's really what this dimension can be used for. Okay, so then moving up to the sacral and the law of balance and the third dimension, and this is where we emanate in the third dimension. The third in your beautiful tummies, your sacral, your organs is your in-breath. So think of that patterning of the mother again, that trust, the hope, the peace, the forgiveness, the serenity, because what you are doing is breathing in the energy so that you can create in your belly, and particularly most important, carry children. You've all been men and women and somewhere in between, so you hold that energy until you are again ready to expel, to spin out your addictions, your misbeliefs, the falsehoods, the illusions that have plagued the planet. And he says, in that, what comes out of the creation. So in the third dimension, we're really letting go of all these belief systems. And then from there up comes sacred purpose. It becomes more and more clear the more we release what doesn't work here. And here he goes into greater detail. The third dimension is defined by the quality of perception or experience of physicality, meaning that the universe is perceived through the experience of length, width, depth. But the growth quality in this dimension is the ability to embrace all dimensions, realities, emotion, and spirit. So a while back, Archangel Gabriel explained that our lack of self-worth barred us from the higher dimensions. So the more we embrace ourselves, our worth, our self-love, then the access to the higher dimensions becomes much easier. So the third dimension also has the unique quality of freedom of choice. All of the numerically higher dimensions have the opportunity to exhibit in the third. The growth opportunity and quality of the third is the ability to choose to expand beyond the mere perception of physicality and incorporate all aspects of self. This is what the Universal Mother talks about when she is discussing incorporating all aspects of self. So aspects from, according to Linda Dillon and the information from the Council of Love, are connected to our past lives. So in the third dimension, we're really allowing those aspects to integrate within our field in this lifetime. The third dimension is not limited by the time-space continuum. It merely appears to be. That is the challenge and the opportunity. And the third is to reach beyond physical appearances. Things are not as they seem here. Okay, so then up to the umbilical, and this is the fourth dimension. And really, this is another dimension to expel, to spin out the addictions, the misbeliefs, the falsehoods, the illusions that have plagued this planet. And as we spin out in the fourth dimension, we are claiming our creation of magic, of alchemy, of expanded reality. And we are already here. This isn't something we have to wait for. In the earlier times before science became almighty king, magic was an everyday occurrence, an expectation. Alchemy was normal, and it still is. The miraculous, the fact that we sit here on an orb that is an archangel is quite miraculous. And Albert suggests it is magical. Okay, so now he explains a little bit deeper. The fourth dimension is the quality of magic, what many of you think of as alchemy. It is the growth into the realization and action of being an agent for transformation. So that's transmutation, that's bringing all the energy out of alignment, back into alignment, back to original purity. And transubstantiation is remembering our divinity. This dimension is very easily accessible from your third and is witnessed continually by living masters such as Sai Baba, divas, fairies, elementals, and so on. It is important for you to realize that once you have anchored this growth component within yourself, the fourth dimension lessons and growth within your being, these beings and abilities will not only be visible, but commonplace. An everyday human example of this dimension, and one which bothered me throughout my human life, was the splitting of the atom. What you think of as science is often simply operating within this dimension. Okay, so then up to the solar plexus and the law of give and receive, the fifth dimension, joy. This is our beautiful solar plexus. And we are bringing in our hara, our power, our will to survive. What does that will require? It requires the ability to adapt, to change, to evolve. And what is the most significant change of all? It is the ability, and he says, I know, well, I've learned, it is the ability to change what you can think of as your tiny will, your ego will, to be in alignment with the will of one. So I put the little being with all the chakras here up to the heart of one, through the great central sun, and the energy that goes down to Gaia and the council fire too. Okay, and then so he goes into more information here. He says the fifth dimension, growth opportunity, is the ability to cope, create, manage, and manipulate change. This channel has often spoken of the fifth dimension, where the quality of change is constant. That is correct. But the rationale behind this is that the being is learning how to deal with and create change. It is the precursor to creation. You live in an infinite universe, one that is constantly in the process of change and growth. If you're not able to manage change internally and externally, then you cannot incorporate the qualities of the higher dimensions with grace. Therefore, the growth aspect of the fifth is the ability to move through change, manipulating it in ways that are loving, kind, considerate of self and the collective, and respectful of the grander plan of an unfoldment. There's been a great deal of discussion about the Earth, Terra Gaia, moving into the fifth dimension. This speaks to a fundamental misunderstanding of the quality of dimensions. The dimensions are not fixed points on a compass. They are a circle, dancing and moving and expanding constantly. There is constant movement with and between all of the dimensions. They are fluid. The planet, animal, and human kingdoms collectively have been intensely learning the lessons of constant change. So from my understanding, we're here in the third, we're not going anywhere, we're cleaning up the third and incorporating the growth patterns of the dimensions into self. And that's our evolvement, that's our ascension. So we're not literally going from third to fifth, we're incorporating the growth patterns of the fifth into self. Okay, and then Albert says, what do you think the explosion in technology, human advances, and thinking has been about? The human community has managed enormous change in the past few hundred years. No, not always well or wisely, but that is the nature of the dimension. It offers the opportunity to learn the growth lessons of that dimension. Gaia, which operates at a very different frequency and time-space continuum from humans, has conquered the lessons of change eons ago. So have most of the other kingdoms. When there is a discussion about moving from one dimension to another, simply think of it as moving from one classroom to another, passing from one grade to another, while understanding that sometimes you have to go back and review basic principles in order to remind yourself what you learned and forgot. That seems to be a tendency. So not to worry, we're moving, in and out of classrooms all the time, becoming multi-dimensional. So sometimes we're in several classrooms at once. So it's no wonder it's hard to remember everything. You do not eliminate the spatial and time continuum because you're moving interdimensionally. You are expanding yourself while remaining in the form and expression of the third dimension. The qualities of growth that occur as part of the shifting in and through the fifth dimension are patience, stamina, humor, and wisdom, that the more things change, the more they are constant. Love and joy are constants. And by the way, why would you think these blessings and qualities are the exclusive purview of the third dimension? That is truly of human ego. So he's saying that their love and joy are within most of the dimensions, or like all of the dimensions actually. They are constant qualities that we hold. And joy, the expanded version of joy of the higher realms, is when we're in gratitude for sacred purpose, and love is everything. So so here's a little, there we are. We have the ability to hold all this information in the third dimension. Yes, and just knowing how powerful the breath is, using that little formula that Albert gave us. And I found this quote from Archangel Michael from April 2013. He says, one of the first ways in which you know that you are firmly in the fifth is that sense of detachment, of joy for no reason. And again, so that's us observing like a scientist, that detachment, and attachment is holding the highest vision, and that joy, waking up in joy. I have a friend that says, sleep in peace, awake in joy. And I'm starting to get that, because often I will wake up in that joy, and it just continues throughout the day. Okay, so moving up to the sixth dimension, and this is actually the law of attachment and detachment and prudence, which is refined balance. Albert Einstein says, with that extraordinary power fixed inside of you, germinating, reaching for still point joy, so that as you move up to your halion, to your bridge between realities within you and realities outside of you, you can burst forward on that out breath out to the stars. And it's funny, the reason I put lions up here was because I saw this word lion up here in the halion chakra. So I thought that was kind of fun. I have said to you that all the universe is patterned on the mother. There's no such thing as dead space. Deep space is fully alive and vibrant, and that's why you want to go exploring, because you've been there and you want to go back. But you also know, just as you know that you are humans and Gaians and angels and earth keepers, you are star beings. Your essence, much of the energy from which you are constructed, is of the stars as well. The mother did not say, oh, now I will take this particular form of energy and create the stars, this particular type of energy, create the atmosphere, this type of energy, create the grass, and this very specific energy will be for human beings who do not know anything about the outer reality. The entire purpose is for you to experience your outer reality within and without. So what your halion chakra does is it brings you out to claim your heritage, not only as one of Earth, but as one of the stars, of the galaxies, of the distant universes. Let me say this to you, it has been the same for your star family that they have had this yearning, and because they were further along in their evolution, they were permitted. They evolved to a place where they could use the holes, so the white holes and the black holes, for travel. Now, as long as the earthlings were stuck in the illusion of greed and separation and abandonment and hatred, they could not carry that and go traveling out to the stars. That would infect everything. You're always talking about things going viral. It is time for love to go viral. But it has never been time for hatred or greed to go viral. We have witnessed too much of that just on our little planet. But now you are maturing, and so this opening is being made available to you to participate fully in. And then he made a joke about sending this information to NASA. And he said, do not ignore your Halion self. Okay, so this is what he's talking about. When we're tied up in knots within, and we're full of resentment, this is not what they want to go viral. They want the love and all the divine qualities to go viral. And from this centeredness, we affect many. So a good little reminder. The sixth dimension is my favorite, he says. It is the place or state of being where ideas and belief systems mutate into form. This dimension has often been defined by this channel as the dimension of chaos. There are many above and below who suggest that the human race collectively is in the process of experiencing the growth opportunities of the sixth. I've often said we're traveling through the sixth to the seventh, and we can see all the chaos all around us. When we say chaos, we speak in terms of creative chaos, for in every chaotic situation, whether it is internal, such as cancer, or external, such as war or societal breakdown, there is an opportunity for growth. Often you have heard me speak of the process of implosion, explosion of creation. Chaos is the nucleus for that action and outcome. It can be beautiful and magnificent. Think of it as the Big Bang. Think of it as the birth of a solar system, the death of a star. The biggest opportunity for growth of the sixth dimension is the understanding that you're not in control. It brings with it the growth of the qualities of surrender, trust, fortitude, and hope. It is the ability to acknowledge that seemingly random chaos has divine patterning. It teaches the lessons of reaping what you sow. It brings forth the profound appreciation of the gift of the unknown. Okay, and then finally into the heart, the law of unification, unity, community, the seventh dimension, charity. And he says, this is where we breathe in the essence of the mother and father and one into what we think of as our heart, our soul, our being, and it is love. And you fix it, you hold on to it because it is the most precious commodity, and you anchor it. Okay, and then he goes into a little bit more. The seventh dimension is known as the dimension of Christ consciousness. This is the state of being the heart and knowing of love. It is the growth opportunity for compassion, kindness, selflessness, honoring, and love. When you anchor in this place of consciousness, you're fully capable of holding the vibrations, energies, lessons, understandings, and growth of all the 12 dimensions available to you on this planet. It is the gentle, allowing state of being that permits expansion and incorporation of your entire original imprint, soul design, what you think of as your universal or higher self, your angelic self, or your oversoul. And Archangel Michael told me in a reading that those beings are anchoring closer, closer, closer to us as we evolve. If you think of the seventh dimension in terms of the electromagnetic field that governs your planet, it allows you the capacity to incorporate the electric nature of the energy, patterning, and lessons of the first 6 dimensions and the magnetic energy pull of the 8th through 12th. You can think of the 7th dimension as the place of still point, where all energies anchor and flourish. It can be the place of intersection of all and is the most natural and comfortable dimension for human beings because it is not only peaceful, but it feels like home to most. It is a state of being in perfect balance of simply being. While many dimensions entail action, this is more a state of allowing because it is the place of intersection. It is the growth lesson of acceptance and acknowledgement of unity and connectedness of all beings, all dimensions, and all life forms. Okay, so there we go. And there's St. Francis's way to experience the dimensions. And he said to sit in the middle and then literally feel like we're going to each place on the clock. And it's kind of a fun way to do it, but to anchor in that it's a circle. But just know that the dimensions are all around us and their growth patterns. And literally, as we sit in meditation and we are listening to our guides, they're helping us incorporate these different qualities of the different dimensions. Okay, so there we go. And there's Albert and SK and the mother, and Albert's beautiful breathing in the blue, holding the still point, saying restore the original plan, and breathing out. Restoring the true divine pattern, the divinity of what it truly is. What we're doing in a nutshell. Okay, so let's stop all of this. Go back. There we go. That was a lot of information. But it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with the dimension. We're not going anywhere. We're learning the growth patterns, the connected to them, to each dimension. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions about that? Yes, Steve, you're on mute.
Can you tell us more about the recent, I guess it was Albert Einstein, I don't know, saying that he's Saint Germain? Do you know anything more about that?
No, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I did. I did. I was hoping you had heard it.
Oh, okay. Did it come through a channel?
I can't remember who pointed it out or where it came up. I'll find out and I'll get the information to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think like Albert has a huge mission in explaining the patterning, and Saint Germain has a huge mission with the violet flame. So, and the I am. So I don't know how the two, I think it would be almost, I don't know, that would be a lot. Yeah.
I'll find out where I heard it.
Okay. Yeah. And they're very different energies too. Like when Saint Germain is around, like there's quite a difference between Saint Germain and Albert. Yeah.
I can think of one of my past lives that there's quite a difference too. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I never heard that. Yeah.
There was a movie about some history, and it had Saint Germain as being like Christopher Columbus and other things. I forget what movie that was, but it was on Golden Age.
I don't know. I didn't see that movie, but yeah, Saint Germain has been Shakespeare and Christopher Columbus, and he was one of the three wise men. He was Merlin. He was Francis Bacon. Yeah, he's had a very magical journey. Yeah, when in his last life, he was alive for several hundred years.
And
Yeah.
he's the G in wait, what's the I just lost my thought, but it's the big order of
Oh, yeah.
what are they called? The Freemasons, the Freemasons.
The
He's
White
the
Brotherhood, is that?
Freemason.
Yes, yes, Saint Germain was connected to the Freemasons. Mhm. Yeah,
Worship
and that's
people.
his family name. Saint Germain is like a family name. It's not that it's Saint, like Saint Francis. It's a family name. Mm-hmm.
Sanctus Germanus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
But I
holy-
feel like Albert's journey has been more the science journey, like very whereas Saint Germain's are quite magical. Yeah, and connected to abundance in a way too, because he had some connection to the Templars, the Knights Templar, and the and money somehow back in the day. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, but Albert describing the dimensions to us was more of a patterning, like the patterning, how things are patterned. And I think he did mention in one of the channelings that this is like a template, the 12 dimensions around planets. It's most planets have 12 dimensions around them. Mhm. Yeah, in the hologram of the planet, there's like 12. Mhm. Yeah. And it was interesting how he talked about the first dimension being like a black hole, and then when you get to the 12th, he talks about that one like a white hole. Yeah. So it's almost, I'm not really understanding the white holes and black holes, but he did say they correlate to very fast transportation by the galactics. They've engineered them so they can go from place to place very quickly. Helion engineering. Mhm. Mhm. But yeah. So the first dimension is like where ideas come from. The second is a communication dimension. The third is where we emanate here in physicality. The fourth is very magical, but a place to spin out the old belief systems. The fifth is all about managing change. The sixth is the chaos. From chaos comes creation. So I feel like we're really in the chaos when you look out at the wars and the gun violence, but we're sort of at the tipping point where people are saying no more. Enough is enough. And back in the day, it was 2014 or 15, it would have been 15, I think, Archangel Michael created a peace meditation. It was February 2014. And in it, he said, enough is enough. And I've heard that said so many times by people lately in the news. Enough is enough. I'm like, yep, we're getting there. Mhm. So, yeah.
We're waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sixth dimension is all about that. And the seventh is like once we're really anchored in the seventh, it's like so peaceful. It's like, it's the best place. And I remember back, I think one of my very first messages from Archangel Michael, he said, that is the place that we love the most is the seventh dimension, because it has access to all the dimensions. And it's what we call home. And it's the anchoring of love. It reminds us of home because it's very green. It reminds us of the heart of one. And when the creations start like manifesting, it's not like we have to work hard. It's like they come to us. It's a state of allowing the creations more to come to us. Sort of like Steve, like when you're writing now, like it just happens, right? Whereas before it was kind of a slog to get up every morning and write. I was like, whoa. Yeah, I know the feeling because that's how it used to be with me too. But now when I need to do something, it comes very sort of, it just flows. When I allow it, it just flows. So not pushing the river. That's the seventh dimension. So you can see they're quite simple, the dimensions, but it's just a matter of I don't know. Oh, breathing them in. Use the breath. Mhm.
So Kathleen, did they talk about the dimensions from 8 to 12 at all?
Oh yeah, that'll be next week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I just figured it was gonna be way too much to incorporate all 12 in 1 hour. Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
yeah, we'll do 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 next week. Yeah. And they're creation, more creation. Like he called them magnetic. They're magnetic. Like we pull those dimensions more to us in a way. Yeah. And the lower dimensions are more about releasing the old energy, the old belief systems. And especially the third, fourth, and fifth. And the sixth is just the chaos and just knowing we're going to make our way through it. We're getting there. But really, it's still important to keep releasing. I mean, I saw so much today. Like, I can feel how quickly the release is, because the emotion will come up, the really deep sorrow. We seem to be releasing some really deep, really old stuff. And I know I was doing it on behalf of others this morning too, but the sorrow came up, it came out, and then it was gone. It was like that fast. It doesn't need to take a long time for some, like it didn't today at all.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was being dredged up. Yeah. So that lying, and I find lying on your bed too can help facilitate that. And just saying you're ready, willing, and able, doing the breathing, and yeah, it can be moved through quite quickly. Because we seem to be doing it for many. It's not just for self, really. None of us would be doing it for self, or just for self. I mean, there'll be, collective around us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anything else? I feel like I've talked a lot. Did you have something to say, Paula?
You want to stop the recording?
Oh, yes, I can stop the recording.